America cannot tell the truth about herself. If the history of this country were written, you would have to say that this country is a nation of thieves. It began by stealing this country from the red man. If I said to you that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492, you would say that's correct. But now here comes this honky from Spain. There are already non-white people here, and they're not existing until he comes and discovers them. Ain't that something? All their heroes have been white. They make you bow down to George Washington as your hero. Did they ever tell you that that honky owned slaves? Did he ever tell you that? Yeah. Not only did he own slaves, he sold a black woman for a barrel of molasses, and he's supposed to be our hero.
African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first. My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African American communities all throughout our land.
Ain't nothing more American than black folks. That's just facts. Built this whole damn country for free. Every brick, every rail, every road laid with blood and sweat that never got a paycheck. And what did they get in return? Chains, whips, red lines, nooses, Jim Crow, COINTELPRO, prisons, knees on necks, bullets in backs.
America doesn't want this truth about black people to go viral because the system will collapse without black people. That's the title of the video. Now, Grand Rising Kings and Queens from Africa and across the ocean, welcome back to my YouTube commentary. I'm so happy that you are here watching this video because in today, I want to speak a truth that shakes the systems, a truth that shakes the ground of the Western Empire. Okay? Now, the truth that America has spent centuries trying to erase, the truth that America has spent centuries trying to silence and hide patriotic myths. The truth that the so-called land of free was never built by freedom, it was built by black hands, African strengths, by divine endurance that refused to die. Okay? Now, when we say black people build America, okay, we are not using poetry. We are using facts. We have receipts. From Virginia first tobacco field in the 1600s to the cotton empire of the Deep South, free economic engine that made America rich was powered by enslaved Africans. Those plantations were not just farms. Those plantations were factories of wealth producing billions in today's money. For example, cotton became the most valuable export on earth, and that wealth financed the banks of New York, the universities of the North, and the rise of Industrial Revolution itself. The White House and the U.S. Capitol were both constructed by enslaved craftsmen. Black men quarried the stone, sewed the timber, mixed the mortar, and hammered the iron. The very symbols of American democracy stand today because Africans were forced to build them without pay. The very symbol of America. They were forced to build without recognition. They were forced to build without mercy. Even the Statue of Liberty hides irony, a monument to freedom standing on a foundation poured by descendants of the unfree. Yet upon any American history, the textbooks, and when you read this textbook, what do you see? You see pictures of white founding fathers in powdered wigs, smiling on plantations. You will not see the African builders, the mothers nursing children not their own, the fathers beaten for dreaming the liberty, and they edited us out, edited black people out because to tell the truth would expose the lie that white genius created their country. Okay, No kings and queens. Black labor created white wealth, and the empire is terrified that this truth might go viral. In today's life, where we have Gen Zs are seeking the truth, and that's why they are trying to hide this. Enslaved, our ancestors, they didn't just work on field, but they mastered them. They introduced irrigation systems, they introduced crop rotation, they introduced herbal medicines that sustained the colonies. African knowledge of rice cultivation from Sierra Leone made the Carolines wealthy. Africans' metal work shaped railroads and machinery. Even American cuisine like okra, yams, peanuts, gumbo, barbecue came straight from African hands and heart. So the next time someone say America was built on hard work, remind them it was black work, it was unpaid work, it was acknowledged, unstoppable. It was unacknowledged, it was unstoppable. And that's exactly why the system fights so hard to keep black people divided today, because unity will remain what? Unity will remain restitution. Unity will remain restitution, and restitution will remain accountability. Before I continue with this, my video, let's watch these clips here, and then we'll come back with more commentary.
The United States was built by black people. I said that in my last video, and it triggered a lot of people. When there still is no American dream for the people who built the country and their descendants. Now, a lot of people were upset with me saying things like, no, that's not true. There was other groups of people here. Other groups of people contributed to America being built. But the thing is that they came well after America was already built. They didn't come to America and build America. America was built long before they got here. This is something I talk about on YouTube all the time. These are my main videos where I discuss it. Shameless plug. Go subscribe. Many of the Europeans who came here came during the potato famine, but that wasn't until the 1840s. But the country had already been built and established, the government and everything, in the 1770s. Even when the Chinese came to help build the Transcontinental Railroad, that wasn't until the 1860s. In fact, there were railroads already in America almost 40 years prior to the Chinese coming here. And I'm saying this to say they might have contributed, but America was already built before they got here. The key point is that they came to a country. We did not come to a country. We built the country. That's the difference. Truth is, moving furniture in the house is not the same as building the house.
So, since there's so many of y'all on here talking about go back to Africa, you should go, blah, 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 I decided to ask ChatGPT, Chat, what would happen if all black Americans left the U.S. and returned to Africa? And one thing ChatGPT do not do is lie, baby. So this is what ChatGPT said. This is food for thought for everybody who's saying go back to Africa. So first, black Americans make up 14% of the U.S. population and contribute significantly to healthcare, education, sports, entertainment, government. And a sudden departure would create significant labor shortages. That's one. 2, black Americans contribute over $1.7 trillion annually to the U.S. economy. A departure like that would create a sudden loss of economic power. 3, black-owned businesses which employ millions of Americans would shut down or relocate, shifting the wealth to whatever country all of us went to. Number 4. Now this one gonna really piss you off. This one gonna piss you off. Loss of cultural influence. Black Americans, and I quote, black Americans have shaped U.S. culture through jazz, hip-hop, and blues, fashion, language, and sports. Their departure would significantly alter America's cultural identity. Here's where it gets good again. A decline in innovation. Blacks foster creativity and innovation. The loss of racial diversity could slow technological advances. See, y'all ancestors ain't tell y'all how sick y'all was. See, y'all, before y'all found us, y'all was fighting each other. See, ain't nobody passed that information on to y'all. Y'all don't know about all that. See, our people passed information on. Y'all people didn't. Y'all wanted to be lost in translation, but we know.
Ain't nothing more American than black folks. That's just facts. Built this whole damn country for free. Every brick, every rail, every road laid with blood and sweat that never got a paycheck. And what did they get in return? Chains, whips, red lines, nooses, Jim Crow, COINTELPRO, prisons, knees on necks, bullets in backs. Ain't no other group forced to love a country that hates them like this. That's strength. That's America. 400 years of free labor built the economy. Cotton alone was worth $3 billion in 1860. That is trillions today. Wall Street, founded on slave trade. The White House, built by enslaved hands. Every dollar ever printed got black labor backed into it. But tell a racist that and they act like it's a history opinion. They fought in every war. Crispus Attucks bled first for this country in 1770. Black soldiers saved America in the Civil War. Hell, World War II fought Hitler while getting lynched at home. Vietnam drafted in disproportionate numbers. The thanks they got? GI Bills blocked, housing loans denied, neighborhoods flooded with heroin by their own government. Look it up. And you still got racists yelling, "Go back to Africa," like they ain't the original stolen property. Malcolm X said it best. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock landed on us. Ain't that the truth? Black folks got every right to hate this place, but they stay. They fight. They create. They revolutionize. America wouldn't exist without them. And it damn sure would collapse without them.
Child, y'all better pay attention to what's happening right now. Cracker Barrel, struggling. Target, struggling. Hospitals, shutting down. Why? Because the white dollar by itself won't keep these companies afloat. And while they play DEI, baby, they need our talent, ingenuity, and brilliance. And when black folks start pulling back their talent, their time, child, struggling. And we already seen what happened to Target. And when we start pulling our money back, baby, they gonna find out. See, what some white folks don't understand is this. Black people are a gift. Our ingenuity, our creativity, our brilliance. It's been the lifeline of this country. We've poured into it, even when this country gave us nothing in return. And let's not forget our buying power. Our buying power hit over $1.7 trillion in 2023. Baby, that's not pocket change. That's why we see these corporations chase us when they need us. But the second they're done, baby, they toss us to the side. And that's why I don't care if Cracker Barrel puts a poster of Barack Obama up. Baby, I'm still not eating there. And I don't care if Carnival Cruises comes crawling back talking about we love diversity. I see the game. I won't be back. And Target, let me be real clear. The last time I stepped foot in that store was the last time. Period. Y'all don't get to play in our faces. Use us when it's convenient, then toss us aside. Not anymore. Because above all, this country understands the dollar sign. And it's time we start reserving ours for us. That's why I keep saying black love, black unity, black strategy, black community. Because, baby, we need to build our own infrastructures from soup to nuts so we won't be out here begging for a seat at their table anymore. Baby, those days are over. So if that resonates with you, join the movement. Baby, everybody won't get it. And that's fine. But those that do, we're still building. So drink your water. Stay rooted, real, and knowledgeable. And mind your black business. Happy Black History 365. And I'll see you next time.
Yeah. So I think I know another reason why people are so fixated with ending Black history. I was looking up something in one of my favorite books, which is White Rage by Carol Anderson. If you've never read it, mind-blowing. But what I realized is that in order to fully tell Black history, they will also have to include how rich white people could care very little for poor white people too. Because if you think about it, back when when things were, Brown v. Board was happening and they were trying to desegregate classrooms. Now, mind you, Black people were not asking to be desegregated. Black people were asking for equal education. But when that happened, and when Brown v. Board passed, it still took 15 years to implement. But what rich white folks did was they just created more private schools and shut down the public schools. That didn't only hurt Black people, it hurt poor white people too. So in order to tell our history, the poor white people that's still fighting for them and fighting for their causes will have to understand that they didn't care about you either.
They may have told you that we only picked cotton, but nothing on Henry Blair. His invention did the work of 8 people. It was a wheelbarrow that planted cotton or corn seeds, and it had racks on the back to cover it in soil. In 1834, he was the second Black person to get a patent. Go ahead and take a seat. Class is in session. They called us slaves, but they never told you about Warren C. Coleman, founded the first Black-owned cotton mill. It was in 1897 in Concord, North Carolina, and he hired all Black people. They'll tell you we don't know nothing about nothing. But George Washington Carver taught the nation how to rotate that cotton crop. Plant something with some nutrients next to it. How to use the excess cotton to make dyes, paint, and textiles. They don't want you to know just how brilliant you really are. Dr. Betty Washington Green. She made a latex coating that makes cotton last longer. She was one of the first Black women chemists in corporate America. Don't ever let them reduce you. We have always been innovators, even in the worst situations. Made a way out of no way. And that right there, that's our story.
You calling Black Americans lazy? Lazy compared to who? Cause we built this joint. While other folks were fleeing their countries, Black Americans were holding the line. Let's talk about it. Let's keep it a buck. When these anti-Black racists, especially some of these immigrant groups, run around calling Black Americans lazy, that's not only disrespectful, that's historically ignorant. Foundational Black Americans weren't fleeing anything. Many of us was here already, and then many of us was dragged here in chains, but we still built the country from scratch. Now, how did we survive 400 years of government-backed oppression and still manage to produce the culture, the innovation, and the infrastructure that everybody eats off today? So my question is, lazy compared to who? I'm not going to say no names, but a lot of y'all jumped on rafts, inner tubes, buses, planes, and anything else you could find, the moment things got rough in your homeland. You didn't stay and fight, you fled. And what you do when you got here? You ain't joined hands with us or uplift the people that fought to make this land more livable. You delineated. You signed up for the white adjacency program. Then you start looking down on the people who fought to make your American dream possible. Let's add some scholarship to it. Black labor created trillions in wealth for America, free of charge. Just cotton alone, by the Civil War, accounted for 60% of U.S. exports. The Homestead Act in 1862 gave away 270 million acres of land, and none of that went to Black people. The GI Bill, Social Security, FHA loan, all strategically excluded Black people. Meanwhile, we still built Black Wall Streets, Black towns, and invented what needed to be invented, and we kept pushing forward. So lazy, we never fled, we stayed, we built, and we still building. So the next time somebody calls Black Americans lazy, just ask, lazy compared to who? Because we didn't run, we built.
Welcome back. When slavery ended, they expected genius of Black people to remain chained. They believed that Black people will never invent again, will never innovate, never rise beyond where they were. Just within one generation, Black inventors were changing the face of modern life, and the system panicked again. Now, for example, this name, it, Lewis Letma, born to formerly enslaved parents, perfected the carbon filament that made Edison's light bulb practical. Without him, there will be no city lights right now, no nightlife, no modern economy. And yet textbook only mention Edison. Why? Garrett Morgan, another son of the struggle, created the traffic lights or traffic signal and the gas mask, saving soldiers, drivers, and miners. But how many children right now grow up thinking only of white inventors? Madam C.J. Walker became America's first self-made female millionaire, not through inheritance, but through black innovation. She built an empire employing thousands of black women at a time when society told them that they were worthless. She proved that vision and ownership could defeat oppression. George Washington Carver revolutionized Southern agriculture while the nation mocked him for focusing on peanuts. He discovered over 300 new uses, creating industries, saving soils, and proving that sustainability was African science long before it became fashionable. Dr. Patrice Bath pioneered laser eye surgery. Lonnie Johnson, a NASA engineer, invented the super soaker while developing space technology. Every century, black excellence rebirthed America, and every time America responded with erasure. Because what? Because acknowledging black genius will destroy the myth of white superiority. They preferred to rebrand black people's idea under different names just to patent black billionaires under different faces. And even today, tech companies harvest African creativity from social media while rarely crediting the creators. They fear the truth because it reveals a divine pattern. Whenever this world grows dark, or whenever the world grows dark, bulb light restores it. And that's not coincidence, that's legacy. It is a legacy that empire cannot control once we recognize it. Now, on this all of thing, we have the power of black dollar, okay? That's the history of the currency, the lifeblood of modern or lifeblood of modern empires. Every nation rises or fails based on where the money flows. And in America, that flows run straight through the hand of black consumers. Today, black American, they spend or wields over $1.7 trillion in annual spending power. So that's more than entire GDP of Mexico. That's more than entire GDP of Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and many more countries. So if black America were its own nation, that means what? That means it will be among the top 15 economic countries on earth. Black people are the minority, but they are the financial superpower hidden inside another country. But here's the tragedy. Less than 2% of that 1.7 trillion stays within black communities. A dollar circulates among black people for just 6 hours before leaving. In Jewish communities, it circulates like 20 days, In Asian communities, like 30 days. So that difference is the reason others build generational wealth while we rebuild from scratch every decade. Black money funds corporations that don't hire them. Black money funds media that stereotypes them. It funds politicians who ignore black Americans. And despite being the engine, they are being paid for the fuel and never own the car. For example, during the civil rights era, they feared the marches, and today they fear the boycotts because one unified week of just concise spending, 1 week of buying only black will shake Wall Street more than any protest. Brands like Nike, Apple, McDonald's, Netflix track black trends religiously. They know when black people dance, the world dances. They know when they buy, the world buys. But we must know this too. That's why every February they flood screens with diversity ads, not to honor black people, but to secure the wallets. Because of what? Because without the rhythm of black people, without the rhythm of black American, their economy misses a bit. And the day the black community decide to redirect its dollars inwards, the day they decide to direct its dollars to black banks, to black farms, to black schools, that day the American system will experience an economic eclipse. The light will shift and they will finally see who truly powered their son. They told the world slavery ended in 1866, but what really happens just a clever redesign, because the cotton field didn't disappear. They were replaced by chain gangs, by sharecropping, by low-wage labor. And this the auction block became the courtroom, the plantation became the prison, okay? And the overseer became the warden. There's something that we call the 13th Amendment. It said, neither slavery nor evolutionary servitude shall exist except as a punishment for crime. And that single word except enslaved millions. States invented laws to arrest black men for vagrancy, for walking just without papers, for looking a white man in the eye, okay? They rented those prisoners to corporations that build railroads, mines, and factories. And today, that system still exists. It is hidden behind the label correction industry. Private companies earn billions from prison labor. They make uniforms, license plates, call center service, even furniture for government offices. All are being produced by men and women who are paid less than $1 an hour. During the pandemic, prisoners made hand sanitizers they were not allowed to use. In California, inmates fought wildfires for just $2 a day. So tell me if that is freedom. That's not freedom. Outside the walls, the pattern repeats. Black workers dominate the essential jobs that keep America running. Nursing, drivings, sanitation crews, teachers, retail clerks. When the country locked down, it was black people who still had to show up. They called us heroes. They returned us to poverty wages once the applause faded. If every black worker took one collective week of rest, the system collapses. The system will freeze. Hospital, transport, logistics, entertainment, all silent. And that's the power America denies, but secretly know it exists. They keep black people busy, surviving, so that they never notice that they are sustaining them. Economists talk about gross domestic product, but America's true currency is black culture. Every rhythm that travels the world, every fashion that fills a store, every slang word that reshapes a generation, it all begins with black people. Okay? From the sorrow songs of the field comes to blues, from blues, jazz, from jazz, rock, from rock it was hip hop, and each was born from pain. Okay? It was born from pain, turned into beauty, and then stolen for profit. When Elvis Presley copied black rhythm, they called him a king. When Little Richard screamed freedom into a microphone, they called him too loud. So history repeated itself with hip-hop, the most powerful youth movement on the planet, and now $1 trillion industry built on the poetry of the oppressed. Pop. The NBA, the NFL are billion-dollar machines powered mostly by black bodies and black brilliance. Without black Americans, without African Americans, there are no championships. Without African Americans, there are no endorsements, deals, no spectacles. And yet the honors boxes remain mostly white. Even America fashion breeds black immigration or black imagination, From Harlem Renaissance suits to streetwear that conquered Paris runway. When black youth made sneakers a statement, the world followed. When black women shaped beauty trends, billion-dollar cosmetic line follows. The creativity of black Americans is the gold mine of the West, and we rarely hold the deed. So if culture is oxygen, then black America is the planet lungs. You carry it off, the world gasps for breath. Now, there's this question. What will happen if all black Americans decide to leave? Just imagine just a day when descendants of Africa and the United decide to leave, to return to the mother continent, or simply just steps out of the system. What will happen? That means the entertainment system will collapse overnight. Music sales will go. Sports revenue disappear. Hollywood loses its global magnesium because without black consumers, advertising loses its pulse too. Brands loses identity. Okay? Let's talk about numbers here. Black Americans make up to 14% of the population, yet drive nearly 40% of fashion, music, and tech-related spending. So when you remove that 40%, and US GDP shrinks by hundreds of billions instantly. Tax bases in major cities collapse. Universities lose their diversity enrollment. Churches lose choirs that carry the spirit of gospel. Even the military loses a vital share of disciplined manpower. When you remove black Americans, the world will feel it too. America, soft power, its global influence through music and film comes mostly from black people. Okay? So when you take that away, and America becomes just another country with the weapons but no soul. Meanwhile, Africa rises. That 1.7 trillion or $1.7 trillion dollars in spending power invested into Africa markets will transform infrastructure, technology, and education. Okay, so trade between diaspora and continent will rival Europe's within a decades. African GDP will double, shifting the center of gravity southwards. And that's why America doesn't want this truth going viral, because the moment black people realize that they can build their own world, the crumble begins. Now that we understand how system feeds on black people, on us, the question is, how do we cut the cord and feed ourselves? The answer is clear: circulation. The holy law of economics that our ancestors practiced long before Wall Street existed. Money must never move like blood within the body, okay? When it leaks out, the body weakens. Our communities have been bleeding for centuries because we were trained to believe everyone else was better than ours, okay? The 1920s Tulsa Greenwood District, nicknamed Black Wall Street, proved what happens when we circulate among ourselves. Over 600 black-owned businesses, banks, theaters, law firms, hospitals, schools, hotels. Black teachers educated our children. Black doctors healed our bodies. Black newspaper told our stories. So it wasn't charity. It was power through unity. And do you know what happened? Jealousy bombed it from the sky in 1921. Just barely 1 year. They destroyed buildings, but they couldn't kill the idea. So today, we rebuild the idea digitally. We have online marketplace, crypto networks, mobile banking, mobile money platforms, global shipping. And we no longer need permission from gatekeepers. Every purchase from a black entrepreneur is an act of revolution. Every subscription to a black content creator is a seed in the new economy. So what do you need to do? You support your local farmers, support your local hairdressers, your local coders and filmmakers, okay? Use black-owned banks such as Greenwood. Down there, I see those Greenwood, One United. I don't know if it's really existing. Invest in land across the continent. That's what I know most. Invest here. Instead of spending on brands that mock you, invest in land across continent. Teach your children ownership instead of dependency. When our dollar circulates, our culture strengthens and our destiny stabilizes. Okay? Remember this: we are not poor. Our money is just unorganized. And the moment we synchronize it, we move from survival to sovereignty. And that is what America fears the most. Not rebellion, but replacement through independence. Okay? Now we arrive at the heart of the entire message that I have brought to you today. America doesn't want this truth about black people to go viral because the system is built on illusion. The illusion says that we are powerless, but history and numbers say the opposite. Okay? We are the builders here. We are innovators. We are the rhythm, the muscle, the mind, and the soul of the modern world. So if we ever act as one global body, the world order reset overnight. Just imagine a future where Harlem tech investors fund Nairobi developers, where Lagos fashion houses dress Atlanta celebrities. It will be great. African countries are creating free trade right now, connecting 1.4 billion people. Diaspora remittance now exceeds $100 billion a year, more than all foreign aid combined. So each dollar sent home builds a school. Each dollar starts a business. Okay? Each flight back home plants a flag of reconnection. Spiritually, this awakening is deeper than economics. Okay? Tell me what you think in the comment section about this video. For me, I think when we realize that we are not Kenyan first, Americans, Jamaicans, Nigerians, we are just Africans everywhere, then the spell breaks. The colonial borders dissolve, and what remains is one people moving with divine intention. That's why they suppress our history. That's why a logarithm bury Pan-African voices, because the moment this unity becomes mainstream, the old empire loses its fuel. Until next episode, peace out.